Welcome back, and joining us to discuss Divorce Not Dead is psychologist, family mediator and the Divorce Magazine founder, Soila Sindiyo. Welcome, Soila.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
What inspired the Divorce Magazine?
Well, the thing is, I've been working with children and families for quite a while now, and it just happened that most of the kids that I started seeing in my practice were children who were going through divorce, whose parents were going through divorce, and the parents were bringing them to my practice because they were worried about their behavior, the changes that they were seeing, or some of them just wanted to know how to do it right. So, and having gone through divorce myself, I realized that one of the things that was really missing is a central place where you could get all kinds of information about divorce. How to start the process, where to go, what to do, what not to do, and also, and most importantly, that there is life after divorce. And so when the Divorce Magazine came about, it was really a place where you deal with the facts, you deal with what is going on, but most importantly, you go there and it's very positive. Apart from the facts and everything, the stories are there about moving on and not letting divorce be the definition of who you are. After that, you're divorced and that's it.
You know,
I like that word.
Because what I realized when I was going through my divorce, it's like when somebody dies in the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you know what it is you're looking for, you've got no clue about the processes, what to do, you know, how to do anything.
Yeah.
Although there's more than one way to do something,
exactly. Yeah.
And all the different options that are there for you.
Yeah.
So putting it all together in one,
Yeah.
you know, space for someone to go to, I think it's a brilliant idea.
And that's a really good point you brought up, how to go about it, because for the longest time, the one way that people believed they could go through divorce is, that's it, I'm calling my lawyer. And you both engage your lawyers and you go through that process. But now there's so many other ways of going through divorce, avoiding courts. You can go through family mediation, you can go through arbitration, you can go through the collaborative way. So there's so many ways of going through it, which can make it less confrontational.
And less expensive.
And less expensive, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, that was one of the reasons that we brought up the Divorce Magazine, yeah.
Such a great concept. You touched on children briefly, and you wrote a book called When Love is Broken. And I want to find out what strategies can actually help children cope with their parents going through divorce.
I think when you were having your discussion earlier, there was this discussion about the children. And somebody said, I can't remember who it was, that you're divorcing your partner, not your children. And one of the things that can make it much easier for children to deal with divorce and to cope with divorce has to come from the parents. And as soon as the parents can actually put the children in focus, you know, every time you're making a decision, every time you're thinking about something, is this going to be good for my child or not? Is this going to be conducive to his or her relationship with the other parent or not? Being able to just put yourself on the side. I mean, it's a difficult time because you're going through a hellish experience, and it's the moment where you're being requested by your kids to even be more of a parent. And sometimes you don't have those resources, and we can make mistakes, which, you know, do happen. But if you can just keep your children away from adult matters, don't involve them in adult matters, don't tell them about mommy who went off with Uncle Tom. Don't tell them about how much daddy is bringing in. Don't tell them you're not seeing your mom until she pays up. You know, things, they don't need to know that. Yes. They don't have the maturity and the capability of actually dealing with those kind of emotions. Yes. So allowing them to continue being children and sort yourself out without involving them.
That is a powerful point, because I remember going, I don't remember, I should say, when my parents got divorced. I just remember that we kept seeing my dad, and regardless of what happened between the two of them, I only found out when I was an adult, a lot later on. So growing up, I didn't know all the issues, the problems, and everything that was going on between them that led to the divorce. And afterwards, I was thinking, what? Pardon me? But the powerful thing was that my mum and dad and the family did not allow us to see things.
They looked after you.
Yes.
They looked after you.
Because I don't have children, but I have a question. Would it be best to sit the children down? Maybe not together, because if you can't get on, maybe it's not the best thing. But would it be best to sit them down and tell them facts, like, you know what, daddy's going to move out, or mummy's going to move out, or this is happening? Like, should you give them some information or not?
It would be it depends on the age, so the language that you use with your children, but sitting down together would be preferable. that you sit down together and don't start blaming each other. Well, mommy has decided that I have to leave. No, you have to sit down and agree before you talk to the children what you're going to say.
Yeah.
They will have questions, or maybe not then, maybe later. But sitting down with them and telling them. And when you sit down with them, make sure it's in a place that they're familiar with. Don't take them to a restaurant they've never been. Sit down nicely and say, now kids, I have something to tell you. They'll always link that moment to that, So just somewhere familiar where they can cry if they need to run out. So at home, preferably together, and use age-appropriate language also. And don't be afraid of using the word divorce with your kids. If you know you're going through divorce, say, we're going through divorce. Don't say, we're going to try. If you know it's a trial separation, say it. But don't lie to them, knowing that you're divorcing, and say, we're just trying to separate and see how it works. Because at some point, they'll know.
False hope as well.
Yeah,
False hope,
exactly. Yeah.
No, obviously there's so many different reasons why people get divorced and go down that route, and some obviously situations are a heck of a lot more painful than others. But so what kind of strategies would you say, for people that are going through really painful divorces, how they can deal with it, how they can get through it? What's the best way for them to approach it?
The first thing I would say is get yourself a really good support system. Make sure you have a support system, meaning people you can go to who are objective, not people who are going to fan the flames of your anger, like he did what, she said what, and then just make it even worse. I'm going to see him and everything. Just somebody who will be objective and say, do you really think that's the best thing to do right now? Do you really think that is what you... So get yourself a really good, steady support system. And make sure that whatever happens during that process, you have people to turn to. If you can go for therapy during that process, go. Because you will... You mentioned, I think you said something about it being like a death. It is. You're losing so much when you're going through divorce, so much. And when you lose your mom or your dad or your brother, your sister, your child, we go to therapy. We go for therapy. Why not when you're going through divorce? You're losing a whole future ahead of you. So go through therapy, get yourself support, and then deal with it as you go.
I love that. I think that was one of the things that really helped me actually during the divorce, is having a good support system and having friends. Okay, sometimes, we're women, we still want the women to bash the men for it.
Exactly,
Still want to say, but they're not going to, as you said, completely fan that, and that's what I didn't have. So there are going to be times that people want to, throw something at a wall, scream, cry, all those other things, and people need to realise that they're not abnormal and they're not bad things. It is a process, because it is a different form of grieving, isn't it?
Yeah,
Completely.
Well, it depends. I mean, I don't know about the word grieving. It depends. Sometimes you are in a marriage that is so not good for you, and getting out of it, it's like you getting life. It's like you've been able to exhale and to breathe and to move on. You know what I mean? So for some women, it may be a grieving process, but for some women, it may be living again.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. The thing is, it's because you've already grieved during your marriage.
Yes.
You have done that during your marriage. So at some point during your marriage, you realized, I can't be here anymore.
Yes.
And as soon as you start your process of preparing to leave, you're already grieving. So by the time you're leaving that house, you're like, thank God, because you've done your grieving process during that time.
And that's so important, because something, when you're talking about the divorce magazine, for instance, I was thinking, you know what, that's actually a great resource, because even for people that have never been through divorce, sometimes you don't know what to say to the friend or the family member who's going through it. And it's the same in death, if we liken it to death. You just don't know what to say. And it's like, what do I say? I feel sorry, or, what would you say is the best thing to say for someone who's going through a divorce and you're witnessing it?
Yeah, it's so difficult to find the right words, because even in death, you don't have the right words. So you can, just saying, I'm really sorry you're going through this. I'm here when you need me to come look after your kids, or you need to talk. I am here for you. That's it. That's really it. But, then we can go that little bit extra. I remember when I was going through my divorce, and people would say to me, oh, don't worry, you'll meet somebody lovely really soon. And I'm like,
this is the last time.
Really? Not now. Not now.
So no thanks.
No thanks. Meet someone lovely? No. So and saying, oh no, don't worry, you'll meet. It's not really what we want to hear at that point. It's just, you know.
It's like you wouldn't say that to someone who's died. Oh, you lost your sister. Oh, don't worry.
You get another
You've
one.
got another one. You've got a brother.
You've got another child. Don't worry. You know. Yeah, exactly. So it's you know, it's really just being there and just and sometimes when they come to speak with you and they're really venting, just listening. You don't have to find a solution for them. You don't have to say, well, have you tried this? Have you done this? You should try, you know, nothing, just really listening. And you'll find sometimes after that moment of listening, they go, thank you so much. And you're like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything, but you listen.
You listen.
And
Well, I need to ask you this because, you know, I've had friends who have gone through divorce and they've lost themselves in the process. What would you say to women who are going through this? They've gone through a divorce, they're now demotivated, low self-esteem, they've lost themselves completely, don't know how to find their way back to life.
And you find a lot of women who do that. And I'm talking about women because some of the people I work with are women. And you end up staying in a situation where you're unable to move forward. And one of the first things that I try and get people, even men, to accept is, it is what it is. It's done. And acceptance is so easy to say, but actually really accepting is really a difficult process to do. And once you accept, it is what it is. I've been fired from my job, now what? I can grieve, I'm really sad. I need to get up and go and look for another one. I can't be here all the time thinking about the job that I had last month. My husband has left me, or my wife has left me. So what do? I need to accept it is what it is and life goes on. That process of acceptance is really, really critical. You can't move forward properly unless you accept that it's done. And if they're really struggling, see a therapist, see a GP, talk to your GP, say, you know what, I can't do this myself, I need help. And then go see somebody.
Wow, that's really profound.
It is.
It's really deep because, you know, sometimes you could be with that person for years and it's just not even been able to picture yourself without that person. And even though you're not getting along or you can't get along, and you just think, I know this is right for me. It's just that whole moving on, which is very difficult.
And the practical things, what do I do with my wedding band? What do I do with my name?
Or it's when somebody
asks you, like, my maiden name
or they say, like, how's so-and-so? Okay, we're not together anymore. And it's, I remember that was the thing, because that was the go-to question. Like, how's that?
It's just little things like going out. Sometimes you have friends as couples going out and all of that stuff.
The friends thing. You see, this is the thing that makes it divorce so painful because it's not just one loss, it's a huge bag of losses, many losses. Losses of friends, the ones who suddenly turn around and they say, well, I didn't like you anyway. And then losses of people who were always around you, being invited to dinner parties anymore. I went to a dinner party after I had gone through a divorce and we were they were couples. And for the first time, I thought to myself, I don't have anything to say because there are all these discussions. Oh, remember when you did this? Remember when you did that? I had no one to turn to and say, remember when you did this, darling? No, there was nobody. So it's a huge loss of a future that you had planned, that you had seen yourself living through. It's all gone. It's all gone.
We've come to the end, and that's such an interesting and really great tips that you shared there. Thank you so much for coming in today. Wish you all the best with your magazine and everything. I just think it's a great idea. So
thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a short break, but don't go away as we'll be back with funny women laughing in the face of adversity and more inspiring discussion on Divorced, Not Dead.